Does technology drive behavior, or does behavior drive technology? Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of The Future in 5. My name is Jacob Morgan, and this is where I share my thoughts, ideas, and commentary on the future of work in 5 minutes at a time, usually. Sometimes I go over. Today I want to talk about an interesting topic that comes up quite a bit through organizations that I speak with and at various conferences, and that is, what comes first, technology or behavior change? And this is a popular topic because a lot of organizations are starting to invest in these collaboration tools at work. These internal social networks, these new platforms, and they're doing this as a way to, to drive innovation, to connect their people, to make sure everyone has access to resources. And I'm starting to see sort of two different conversations happening. On the one side, there are some conversations that say, or some companies that say, before we invest in technology, we want to figure out a way to change behavior. So we want to change the behavior at our company. Once the behavior is changed, then we'll invest in technology. And then there are other organizations that are saying, well, we need to invest in the technology so that we can change the behavior. In other words, we can't change the behavior unless we give employees the tools that they need. And so there are these two separate sides of the coin, two separate conversations that are happening. And I'm starting to see a little bit of a rift happening, right? So some organizations are in one camp, some organizations are in the other camp. Now, I spent a lot of time researching this. I mean, my first book, The Collaborative Organization, which came out in 2012, was a 340-page strategy guide on this exact topic. How do you make collaboration work? How do you make these tools and technologies and platforms work within your company? And unfortunately, both of these sides are wrong, right? You can't just focus on behavior. You can't just focus on technology. If you just focus on the behavior side and say, okay, we're just going to try to change behavior and get everybody to become more collaborative and sharing and stuff like that, if you don't have the tools in place, you really can't drive that behavior. If you have tens of thousands of people that are working at your company, you can't just get them to become more collaborative unless you give them the tools and the platforms that they need to become more collaborative. I mean, they're not just going to call each other up on the phone all the time. You don't want them to send hundreds of emails like, hey, let's chat, let's collaborate. You can't have a massive town hall for 10,000 people to just show up and say, hey, collaborate. So you need to give them the technologies that they need, these digital platforms, so that they can actually change their behaviors, so that they can learn to collaborate. And on the other side, you can't just give people the technology platform and say, oh, this will change behavior, right? You can't just invest hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars into a platform or into multiple platforms and say, hey, here's the technology platform, behavior is going to change by itself. Unfortunately, that doesn't work. So you have to do both at the same time, right? You have to focus on the behaviors while giving employees the technologies that they need to be actually be able to change those behaviors. And there are a lot of good examples of what companies have been doing. Unisys does a good job of this. IBM does a good job of this. Lowe's Home Improvement, Whirlpool, all these companies do a good job of this. And you've heard me mentioning some of these companies in previous videos. But basically, when an organization decides it wants to change behavior, you got to start early, right? That's when you start to communicate why this is happening. You start doing the education, you start doing the training, you start conveying the individual value to employees. I have a whole image that I created, a whole framework called the 12 Habits of Highly Collaborative Organizations that basically gives companies 12 things that they need to do to create this type of environment. So you start the behavioral change process early, but at the same time, you also say, hey, while we're working on changing these behaviors, we're going to give you the technologies that you need to actually see what this looks like, right? You can't just explain to somebody what having a collaborative company means, what these tools look like and what they're going to do. You actually need to be able to show them what it looks like and what these technologies do. They actually need to be able to use them and to see it. Only then will employees and will managers and executives start to, only then will it click in their head of what the benefit and what the value of doing this actually is. So again, don't focus on behavior first. Don't focus on technology first. You have to do both at the same time. And that's what a lot of companies in our FOW community, the Future of Work community, are doing. Companies like Sanofi, companies like MasterCard, companies like T-Mobile, all these organizations are really exploring and doing both of these things at the same time, and they're doing a very, very good job of that. So curious to hear what you think. Is your company investing in these technologies? Have you invested in technology first and then behavior? Are you doing both at the same time? Really curious to hear what you think. Leave me a comment below. Of course, if you want to get access to more videos, you can visit thefutureorganization.com. You can also get access to the podcast and a bunch of other stuff there. And if you work for a large organization or a smaller organization and you're interested in the future of work, make sure to check out the FOW community at fowcommunity.com. I'll see you next time on an episode of The Future in 5. Hey, are you interested in the future of work? If so, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can get all the latest content on the future of work and stay up to date on all the latest trends and happenings. Not to mention, you will make me very, very happy. Make sure to subscribe.